It's Melissa here at Barnes Sewing Center, and today I want to talk to you about the digital dual feed foot, or sometimes this is referred to as the Move It foot. So this is just a really large version of the walking foot, but there are some things that make this a really specialty kind of walking foot, more of an advanced walking foot. So we're going to talk about this guy today. Let's get started. So a standard walking foot for a sewing machine kind of looks like this. And as this arm lifts up and down, the feed dogs move up and down as well. So that's your top feed system, and that's what's helping to move your multiple layers. Now with this foot has this belt here. So this is a belt-driven foot. So what that means is as I'm scooting that top layer of fabric, there's no feed dogs that are jumping up and down and losing contact with the fabric. That belt is staying in constant contact with the fabric, and it's really just a nice, strong upper feed system and to evenly feed your multiple layers. Now it is important that you watch this lever right here. When the lever's down, the belt is engaged, but if that lever pops up, that disengages the belt, so you no longer have that upper feed system. You're just kind of back to like a standard presser foot where everything's just feeding from the bottom. So if you want the upper feed system, make sure that is lowered and you'll see your belt engaged down here underneath. I'm going to show you how to attach this foot. So in order to attach the digital dual feed foot, I will have to remove both the standard foot and the shank that's attached to my machine. In order to do that, I'll take my screwdriver and loosen the screw that's holding the shank in place. And once that's loosened, I can very easily remove that shank attachment. It just slides out from behind. Now my Move It foot has this opening right here, and that's where the screw is going to go. So I'm going to put the foot facing me, slide it behind my needle bar, and just take that opening in between where the screw is. Again, similar to the walking foot, there's these little kind of front part of the arms here, this flat part here. Let me show you. This flat part right here, that I want to make sure those flat little arms hug around my needle bar here. And then I'll take and tighten that in place. There's one last step. There is this little plug that's hanging down in the back of my dual feed foot. That has to plug into the machine. So I've now turned the machine around backwards, so we're looking at the back of the machine. And not that you'll have to turn your machine backwards every time you want to plug this foot in, but I just want to give you a really good visual of where that plug is attaching. So here's the plug in the back of my foot, and you can see this opening right up here. So it is on the back of your machine. If you're, of course, sitting in the front of the machine, you can almost just reach your hand around the side and you can feel for that piece there. But it just plugs in very nicely, and that's how you attach the Move It foot. So now that my foot is properly attached, I'm ready to put my fabric underneath, lower my presser foot, and just start sewing. As with most walking feet, you will hear a little bit different noise than you're used to hearing when you sew. This belt is going to be moving, so you will hear that as you're sewing, and that's just normal for this type of foot. So I had a quilt sandwich that I just put in there, and you can see I started at the top, sewed along, and when I get to the end here, my layers are perfectly even. Nothing has shifted or lagged behind. Everything moved through the machine really beautifully. And then last but not least, one of my favorite things about this specialty walking foot is the fact that you have so many different foot attachments that work with your top feed system. So in order to remove the standard sole on the walking foot, I'm going to grab it and just kind of pull down at a little bit of an angle, and that foot's going to release. So here I have an open toe attachment, and that's just completely open in the middle of the presser foot here, so I have great visibility as I'm stitching. If I want to do applique sewing, it's a wonderful foot to have because I can really see the edge of my applique and make sure my stitches are landing perfectly. Also nice for lining up rows of decorative stitches, or if you just have to meet up with previous seams, it's a really nice attachment to have for the walking foot. Here is our 1/4 inch piecing foot with the little guide on the side. So as I attach that foot, you can see I have that top feed system as I'm doing my 1/4 inch piecing. So that's wonderful for piecing flannel or wool quilts together. Anytime you have extra thickness, the walking foot's really going to help so those layers don't shift and slide on you. Even if you're just doing cotton, the walking foot just helps feed your layers. So that 1/4 inch piecing foot is a really nice attachment because you have both a bottom and a top feed system working for you. And then we have the stitch in the ditch foot. What a great time to have your top feed system working for you, because when you're stitching in the ditch, you're always going through the multiple layers of your quilt. So here I have attached to my dual feed foot that stitch in the ditch. So this seam guide is right behind your center needle position. So perfect for stitching in the ditch, or even if you want to follow in the ditch and then move your needle position maybe 1/8 of an inch to the right or the left, so you're stitching right next to a seam. This is one of my favorite attachments for this foot. And yes, you also have a quilt guide bar. There's no hole in the back for the quilt guide bar to go through like a standard walking foot, so it does attach just slightly different, but still has the same principle where when it attaches to your machine, it's that nice guide for column sewing or evenly spaced rows of stitching. So who knew that a walking foot could be so advanced and give you so many different options for accessory feet as well? Now this foot is not available for all machines. It is more of the mid to high end machines, and this is a brother or a baby lock foot. So check with your dealer, see if this is available for your machine, or if not, you can find out what machine you can trade up to get this amazing foot. Thanks for watching.